You all want to talk about soccer?
Yeah, that sounds good.
That's the open. That's the open.
That's it. This is it. This is You'll Never Talk Alone. This is the first episode of the 2018-19 season. This is our actual preview episode for the year for Liverpool. And that was the smoothest intro that we've ever had. Thank you, Andrew, for that. Did you say something? It just didn't really come through. I saw your lips move. Yeah. And then I didn't hear anything there. I'm Joseph Craven. We got Alex Level, Andrew Ainsworth, and Will Caves. Shout out to our boy Zach Osborne, who is real sick today. He's supposed to be starting school. Instead, he's puking up his guts. So, couldn't join us on this one. That sucks. But
I don't think his body can physically process the optimism.
I came up with our new Guy Fieri show. It's called Caesars, Caesars, Caesars.
I'm done on that.
Thank you for joining us on this episode. We will understand if you unsubscribe.
You can cut that if you want.
Seizure, seizure, seizure.
I'm going to just need a moment to get over that. The 2018-19 Premier League season starts up this weekend, and I think I could speak for all of us here at the podcast that this is possibly the most excited that we have been in a long time. I mean, it's always enjoyable when the season starts. It's something special when the team that we are here to talk about, the team that we support, that we keep up with, finished with a strong season last year, made the right moves in the offseason to strengthen the roster, and are coming in looking like this could be a year in which they are legit title contenders. There we go. I forgot the word contenders, and it honestly took me that long to remember that term. It's very strange. Before we actually look ahead and preview the season and this upcoming weekend and the opening matchup against West Ham, let's look back. There have been a couple of friendlies that have occurred since the last time when the last episode we talked about the summer itself. We talked about the moves that have been made. We talked about how we were looking. Since then, we've had this very important, event in which we got to see brand new goalkeeping signing, Alisson Becker, get play time in a friendly. We got to see the team return to Anfield, all of that. It's significant. So I'm actually going to, I feel like I owe Andrew, because last time Alisson, that came up that he was going to be starting in the last episode. It was the worst question I had asked of the night by far. I gave Andrew nothing to talk about. So, Andrew, I'm gonna throw you a bone here. He played about 73 minutes, I believe, in the matchup against Napoli, and in that had was it the Napoli one or the Torino one in which they posted his passing stats? Did anyone pay attention to that?
I think it was the Napoli game where he posted the passing stats, and then he got subbed out versus Torino.
That's what I thought. Okay. So the Napoli game, they posted the passing stats, and they were the distribution was unbelievable. But what did we see so far out of him here? And that it's a different type of mentality with his distribution. So what does this mean for the team then, Andrew, in this getting this guy in goal and seeing what he's actually made of?
I think it's really good for the team. No, I'm just kidding. So, I mean, you could see it all with that one pass to Salah down the wing that, 80-yard on a dime, caught him while he was running, and that led to that goal from, was that Milner? JM7, my guy.
Dude.
Love him. I really, this is for later in the episode, but I really want him to start, even with the gash in his head.
I think it would just be a tactical advantage to have a man with an open head wound out on the field.
Yeah. I don't know if it's like the NBA. Like, are you allowed to play with an open head wound bleeding all over everyone?
If it's wrapped up.
Right.
Okay.
feel like
We'll take it.
Skirtle did that every game.
Yeah, he lived.
Yeah, he did.
Skirtle was actually made entirely of blood.
Most people are. Yeah, but I mean, you could see it all with that one pass. He did have that error early in the game where he just kind of passed it directly to a Napoli player and they almost scored. But all in all, for a first game and a half, or maybe even a game and a quarter that he's played, he's had some great saves. No real errors. He hasn't missed anything that he should have saved necessarily. So all in all, yeah, it's been a good showing, and no one can deny that he's going to start the very first game.
And that he's a jolly good fellow.
He is.
And he can deny everyone.
Will, I got a couple of questions for you. The first one is not really very detailed, but we've gotten a chance to see all of the kits in action. Which of the kits this season are you liking the most? Are you liking the purple one? Are you liking the gray with the white with the kind of gray accent? Are any of those shining now that we've actually seen them on the field?
I think you got to pick the purple, right? But I normally don't like all white kits, but the white kits are super sexy too. The red looks good. I like them all. But if I had to pick, I got to go with purple.
Okay, that's fair. Is that the consensus across the board with you guys as well?
Yeah. Love the purple.
Okay.
Purple forever.
Gotcha. I don't like it that much.
Well, you're wrong.
Thunder.
Yeah. When I saw it on the field, I liked it less than when I saw it in Instagram posts, but it doesn't mean I dislike it. I just saw it and was like, oh, okay. Anyway, Will, more importantly, though, is there anything in these last couple of, friendlies that you've seen that is any different at all from what we saw the rest of the summer? I know we had, it's two really nice goal-scoring games. I mean, 5-0, then 3-1. But is there anything in these particular results that stand out as any different from what we've seen the rest of the preseason?
Different, no, but I've only caught 2 of the preseason games just because I've had junk going on, and in both games, both Sturridge and Shaqiri have looked awesome. And I know that's not new to these 2 games, but that's something that has consistently stood out to me. Sturridge is Mr. Glass. I understand that. Mm-hmm. And Shaqiri, I don't know if this is like a blip on the radar, if he's going to be consistently this good. But for right now, they look great. And I feel like if this were the Liverpool of old, they would both be starting. But to have 2 of our bench players playing that well going into the season, it feels great.
I think we kind of talked a little bit about the appearance of Daniel Sturridge right now, his apparent motivation, and we talked about the instant thrill a minute that Shaqiri provides both on and off the pitch in all of his, bro maneuvering, both in the game and outside of the game. But you're absolutely right. Those are 2 of the most, those are the 2 stories I think that stand out the most to me in the preseason so far, are the performances of those 2 guys in particular. Switching gears just a bit, though, Alex, we do have wonder of wonders. Apparently, we have a few center back injury issues going on here. What's going on? And does any of this look like it's going to be severe?
It's never good to see 2 midfielders playing center back in the final preseason game before your first league match. So I think it kind of does go back to what a lot of people were saying, is that we did need another center back, not just for quality, but because all of our center backs are injury prone. Joe Gomez, late minute withdrawal from the entire squad. Hopefully he'll be fit Sunday, but really do not want to see Nat Phillips starting against West Ham if possible. Just because, sure, it's a great story that he's worked his way up to the first team, but you could see for Torino's goal, there's still that missing something to be able to start. And it's just really frustrating to continue to see all of our center backs, except for Van Dijk and Lovren really go down injured consistently and always, and you just can't rely on them. And we're not going to be able to start Lovren against West Ham. He just got back Tuesday, I think it was.
And what do you think of his hair?
It's weird. I don't like it. He is not someone who should be shaving his head.
No,
I don't think he likes it either.
No, he didn't look thrilled. Granted, I don't know what he looks like when he's happy. Haven't really seen that emotion out of him. But anyway, I didn't mean to entirely cut you off there, Alex, but it needed to be addressed.
Yeah, it did. It's a big change, and it looks about as good as our center back's fitness across the board, which is not good. And it's something we do need to pay attention to going into the fall, going into this whole first half of the season. It's something we need to be aware of going into January, because this has happened before. Klopp, at the end of last season, asked the press corps if any of them were center backs. And here we are again. And it sounds like I'm really mad about this. And it's more frustrating than anything that with all of the great business we've done, we still had to play Fabinho and Marco Grujic at center back because we don't have any.
Yeah, and that was primarily because they were like the tallest guys we had. And it was like,
Right.
Hey, you two, you want to take up space back here? All right, go for it. Yeah. I'm actually going to go ahead and, speaking of height, I'm going to go ahead and try to put in for a job there as just a center back in relief. Having never played before, I think it'll be okay. But if that doesn't work out, I'm going to audition to be Allison's stunt double, the very least. So anyway, I'm feeling pretty good.
I think there's a career there. There's some promise.
Can always play center back. He can play any. It's like a new signing, really.
I'm enjoying the image. It's the same as whenever you got those like youth academy guys in like manager mode on FIFA. It was like, this dude's a center back. Also, he's 5'6".
Yeah.
But he's got a 95 potential.
Yeah.
95 potential at center back, and he is a tiny child. That I would love to see Milner play center back just because of the height differential between like him and Van Dijk. Pair them together just for fun. Oh man, it feels good to be talking about the beginning of the season. It feels good to be right here on the cusp, just a few days away. It feels good to know that I will wake up on Saturday morning. I will brew a pot of coffee, might throw some bacon and eggs on, and just be able to turn on the Premier League and enjoy it. I've missed it. My Saturday mornings have been empty. I've been doing this weird thing where I sleep in, and I don't know. I can't figure it out. But it always brings an entirely new set of questions when you look ahead to the season. And we've talked a lot about personnel. We've talked a lot about the form that we were in at the end of last season. We talked a lot about who we've added and what we've looked like in the summer. But the question remains, Alex, you posed the question to me earlier when we were talking about what we were going to talk about in this episode, and I like the way you worded it. It simply was, what are we this year? What is Liverpool this season? In the last year at this time, we're doing preview episodes and we're talking about how we feel comfortable, top four challengers, hopefully making a title push. So we now revisit this right now, and the general feeling seems to be this is the year where if we're not title contenders, then we're going to feel disappointed in that fact. So that's the question I pose to you guys right now. What are we? Are we title challengers? Are we top four only type of team right now? And if that's the case, I mean, what's considered a failure for this season? I felt weird jumping out of order earlier, so I'm going to go back to Alex for this one. But Alex, I mean, what are we this year?
We are absolutely title contenders. Even with our center back issues, we've strengthened all over the field. We've got world-class players in almost every position. We have people we can bring off the bench finally. We have a goalkeeper. We have an incredible midfield. We have the amazing front three. And we have an atmosphere around the club that is one of belief and being laid back. They don't seem to feel the weight of the expectation of having an amazing squad. And mostly the fans aren't really putting it on them. Like, we all know we have the ability to win the title with the squad that we have, but you don't see too many people getting carried away with it or anything. And I think that's really smart, although we are used to years of hurt, so it makes sense to do that. But also, we know that they got this, and we've seen how they've taken care of the issues, and so we have the trust and belief in them, and we really have turned doubters into believers. And we all believe, and a lot of people that aren't related to this football club believe that we are in the best spot to challenge Manchester City for the title, and I absolutely believe them. And to answer the second part of your question, a failure, I think, would be another last week of the season where we have to win to get top four, petering out of the title race way too early. And like almost any time before April, I think would be a bit of a failure. And that may be overly optimistic, but that would just, with the team that we have, being out of the title race that early would just be sad. And then not making a run in another competition besides the league. I think we have a big enough squad. Granted, that will be reduced because everyone on our team is made of tissue paper, but we have enough to possibly win one of the cups, one of the domestic cups. We have the squad to make another run in the Champions League, and we absolutely have the squad to make a run in the league. So I just want to see us knock people aside and purple the heck out of them.
I like the way what you pointed out about the fact that the players don't look like there's pressure on them. They're carrying themselves in a way where they don't feel like they have to prove anything at this point. They're feeling they seem to be more like, okay, we're going to get out there and we're going to win some matches. And, like other teams are going to have to deal with us. Now we're not in that. We have to prove that we are actually a top four team. We have to prove that, Jurgen is the guy to get behind. You have to, it doesn't seem like that is hanging around. And that's very promising for sure. But Andrew, are you agreeing with Alex on his assessment here? Are you feeling like anything, different?
I think I'm optimistic. I'm not as optimistic as a lot of people, not because our team isn't good enough, but just because Man City is so good. It does help that they had a lot of players in the World Cup coming in. They're bound to drop some points at the beginning of the season, but we've got to think back and realize that Man City had 100 points last year at the end of the season. They didn't lose until December or January, maybe later.
I think that was January.
I think it was
January.
I mean, they were an incredible team, possibly the best all time in the Premier League since 91. So we're having to go against some strong competition that feels the same way we do. Mm-hmm. They've done it year after year recently. I don't know. I hope we challenge for the title. I don't think we should have any issue getting second, but I don't know how long we'll be in that title race if Man City comes out and plays like they did last year. It'll be hard to replicate that, obviously, but yeah. I don't see how their team has gotten any weaker.
Right. They had that issue where for a little while in there, they just got really old, There were a few years in which Man City was like, oh, they're so good. And then they got really old. And then they fixed that and had the season of like they did last season.
They got really old, had a 66 points 2 years ago. And then last year they brought in all these young kids. They fixed it in one season, especially having Pep the second year helped. And they are breaking records.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. A heck of a team. And I'm glad that you brought up the fact that, there's always going to be a little bit of, possibility that Liverpool could have an amazing year, but someone else can just have an unbeatable year, It's going to be so difficult for City to repeat anything because repeating high performances, and which is also what makes me a little bit nervous about Salah this year. Not thinking that he'll have a bad year, but after the year he had last season, it's like it's going to be difficult to to really replicate a whole lot of what he's able to do. But on the flip side, what could really work out in our favor is it might be difficult on City to be able to replicate the type of performances they put in.
Exactly.
It might not, but it might, yeah. So there's a lot that has to do with that. But Will, what are you thinking in this season? What's going to be? I mean, who are we? What's going to define success or failure for Liverpool?
So I've thought about this a little bit as I've been waiting, and initially I was going to say, to be title contenders or whatever, but not only City, but Arsenal has strengthened, and like it's kind of a meme to talk about Arsenal, but they also don't have Wenger this year. You don't really know how they're going to look. Chelsea with Sarri is going to be strong as well, and it's gonna be interesting because the league dynamic will be a little bit different. Some of the teams that were down this year or this past season will kind of be back in contention, and I think in terms of success, we need to take the next step. I mean, like, you finish in the top 4, you get to the Champions League final. That is success. The next step is winning a cup and challenging for the Premier League, And so I think that realistically we need a cup and we need to finish at least third is going to be success for me.
That's solid. That's solid. Do you think, what cups would you, what cup victory would you feel like comfortable with? Like, let's just say, obviously it's like, if we go through like, I know the Champions League and win it all, that's one thing. But if you're looking at, are you going to be satisfied if it's just one of the smaller competitions and we end up winning that? Is that enough of something just to have some sort of hardware?
It's been so long that since we've won any cup that, Jordan Henderson's the only person on the team that's won a cup with Liverpool that's in the current, starting roster, the current, best 11. Like he's the only person on the team. And I feel like even though a lot of people will, like crap on the FA Cup, crap on the League Cup, I think a nice solid like FA Cup and a deep run in the Champions League, first, second, third in the league, it'll be great. I do though, like you hate to predict Champions League success, but if you look at how the pots are going to be drawn, there aren't many. Like we're in pot 3, right, or maybe pot C, however they decide it. But like the guys in pot 2 aren't any better than we are, and a lot of the guys in pot 1 aren't any better than we are. And so we're really like we look pretty decent to at least make it out of the group as group winners. Depending on who we draw. And so, that's a lot of what ifs. That's a little bit further down the road, but we have set ourselves up through our transfers and through our stuff really well this season. I think we're going to go deep in a lot of competitions.
Yeah, I'm going to pull up what our fallen comrade, Zach Osborne, had to say. He gave us some thoughts to throw into the episode. His thinking is that our starting 11 is better than City's is, but City has us beat on depth still, which makes a lot of sense, considering we have been begging for more depth for like 2 seasons now. And we've, taken a few steps in the right direction, but, not quite there yet. But he says, we are title contenders. And I feel like you have to go into it with this mindset of we have to be title contenders this year because we've proven we can get, top 4 twice in a row now. We've proven that we have it in us to try to at least fight for some sort of title, whether it's the Champions League last season to at least make it to the finals, or whether it'll be, if the league is still up to grabs, there's not a team that has kind of run away with it by December, like we've had the past, couple of seasons, then we have to be right up there. And who knows, maybe we're the team that's run away with it by December. That would be nice. I would love that. I feel like the podcast would get really boring if we were just incredibly successful right from the beginning. But I think I'd accept that, at least for a season. Why not? We do have a handful of signings really just about 4 guys. And I feel like we have all expressed how excited we are about having a very, very good, smart goalkeeper. Very, very good with the ball, makes the right decisions, as we've kind of praised there. Outside of that, we've got, some solid signings as well. And so I want to ask, like, what is the other signing that you guys are most interested in so far? Zach says that Naby Keita is the guy that he has really enjoyed, especially in this preseason. Is looking like a really dynamic midfielder, the guy that we, of course, got on a deal, it seems like forever ago, and then he finally has shown up. Alex, is that who you're most looking forward to seeing in action as well?
Yeah, we can talk about him. We can hype him up. We can discuss what's great about him, but nothing is going to beat seeing him play for us. I mean, he's just so good, and I don't think the league is ready for him.
What does he bring to the table that makes him different than some of the other players that we have?
He brings it all. He is. I said it on the fantasy podcast that he's apart from De Bruyne, he's probably the most complete midfielder in the league at this point. He's a 6, an 8, and a 10 all in one. He's so mobile. He's so quick. He's so intelligent. His touch is unbelievable. You're really not going to win the ball from him when he's got the ball, and he's going to bring a new element to this attack that can really make it even better than we saw last season, which is hard to even fathom. But with him back there, even without someone like Fekir, he can provide that creative spark. He can break down defenses just by either simple combination plays or just running past them with the ball glued to his foot. So I am immensely excited to see him.
Andrew, what about you? Who are you most looking forward to seeing in action of the newcomers?
Same. Naby Keita. I mean, he's something that our midfield has been missing for a while now. We just haven't had a complete player who can play defensively and a long time. I mean, I think he's going to be up there with some of the best midfielders that we've seen in our time in a Liverpool jersey. Like Alex said, he brings everything. He can score some great goals. He doesn't get as much output in numbers, but statistically, if you look at every other stat that's imaginable, he is just as good or better than almost every other player in the league that plays midfield.
What's really interesting to me also is how he can get away with, I don't know, playing bigger than his size. You know what I mean? Like he's not afraid to boss some people around. He's not afraid to kind of, really try to just muscle through the midfield. And he's 5'8", 141, not exactly towering over anyone, but
well, he does get his fair share of yellow cards, and he's had some discipline problems. He's gotten plenty of red cards in his time at Leipzig, but I think a lot of that will be mitigated by the fact that he's going to have another player in there in the midfield with him. When he was at Leipzig, he was the legs of that entire midfield. They would play a deeper holding mid to distribute more, and he would run around and just destroy everyone with the ball and without the ball. So I think he'll have more support in there. And I'm sure working with Klopp, he won't be he'll be feisty, but he won't be as reckless.
You'd think. Who knows? Maybe that's why Klopp maybe Klopp wants it. Yeah, exactly. That's it.
We were missing Lucas.
Yeah. He's new Lucas. Here's a quick side note. Apparently, Allison's middle name is Ramses.
Yeah.
Allison Ramses Becker. How have we not addressed that yet in the podcast?
I think we talked about it in our pre-production thread, but I don't know if
Did we? My bad. Yeah. My bad on that one. All right, Will, how about you? Is Keita also the guy that you are most fascinated with?
I feel a little pressure to pick somebody else. But
you should.
I will. He's going to be great, but I think the person that will make him great is Fabinho. We have said ever since I've been listening to this podcast that Jordan Henderson is not a 6. We finally have a 6. And that is going to open up, I think, actually putting a player in that position with the appropriate skill set and mindset will make everybody else better. You'll have a player that holds, he can pass really well. This past game aside, he's good on penalties. It allows Henderson to play up a little bit more, which is, I think, his better position. It allows, maybe Genie Wijnaldum and James Milner not to have to track back as much. Allows Keita to go forward. I think as long as he's fit, he will be what makes everything tick in the midfield. Keita will have the highlights, but Fabinho will do the dirty work. It's going to be awesome.
I'm glad you said it, not me.
Yep.
Let it be known.
I love it. No, I love the fact that you're bringing him up because that is exactly what we've been talking about for. This is our 4th season of You'll Never Talk Alone, and I think we've been saying we need a defensive mid since before we even formed this particular podcast. So that might be the most important. I mean, behind the goalkeeping, because that's a big issue, but that might be the most important signing just because of it fits such a need that we, haven't had. But
well, that's kind of been the theme of our whole window. It's like addressing the needs, and it's been like, we get Fabinho, we get Allison, we get Keita. Like, I mean, Shaqiri, who knows what role he's going to play if he's the 10, if he's the backup. I think he'll play a lot, but we've addressed a lot of needs, and so it's hard. I mean, it's easy to say Keita, but it's hard to pick like one that's going to make an impact. I think it's going to be really fun to see what happens against West Ham.
Yeah, for sure. And that's why if I'm picking one of these guys, I'm actually going to pick Shaqiri, the one guy who isn't fitting a need, but the guy who is like, incredibly versatile, can play any of the, anywhere up front, but also can drop into the mid a little bit and be kind of a 10 role, like you just mentioned. I'm very curious to see how he's used, maybe more than anything else. I'm just mostly curious to see how he's used because so far in his appearances in the preseason, he's looked like he's willing to do anything that the club asks for him to do. He's looking like he's just opportunistic, taking advantage of the situations he finds himself in. And when there's no situation there, he's creating stuff. I'm still not over that bicycle kick.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think I ever will be. Who cares if it was preseason? That's how he announced himself, I'm not over him just being an absolute Chad of a human being and giving us all the memes we ever need. So I'm very curious to see where he can actually fit or what he's going to be used as when the season comes along. Also, I just love the fact that he was 13 million euros to bring in. Like, that's it. That's awesome.
I think he will play a ton. I think he's going to play in a lot of different positions. I would think he will play almost every game.
Yeah. I think he is going to be the main sub. If not breaking into the starting rotation every now and then to give people a relax. But I think he's the main sub, the first guy we see off the bench at any point in time to fit different situations.
I'll tell you where he won't fit is in any article of clothing provided to him by the club.
The cube. The cube.
Can he play center back?
He's going to have to.
He's going to try.
Right.
He's going to try.
Center cube.
Yeah, that's the situation in which the C and CB stands for cube.
Mm-hmm.
Cube back. That's him. All right. We do have the actual first official match of the season coming up this weekend against West Ham. Alex, you're the guy that we turn to in order to kind of fill us in on what we can expect out of our opposition most of the time. What's changed at West Ham since this last season?
I mean, it's everything but the brothers, really. They've got a new coach. They've got a bunch of new signings. And they don't really, they don't really have a good attitude around the club at home games. But they have a little more optimism, and they're probably going to come in not being already defeated by themselves. I mean, we know the threat that Arnautovic can provide sometimes. But they've got Felipe Anderson. They just brought in from Lazio, very exciting player. They got Wilshire, so he'll probably last at least 3 minutes against us before going off injured. They're going to be missing Carroll, I think they're going to be missing Winston Reed, I'm pretty sure, and they're going to be missing Lanzini. But they've got some players that we need to watch out for. They've got a new keeper, not a great keeper, but they've got Fabianski, and it's going to be tough. It's the first game of the weekend. I mean, not first. Well, obviously, it's the first game of the weekend for us, but it's the first match of the season for us. And we saw what happened last year when we were really excited about our squad, and we drew 3-3 because of a stupid decision and some stupid decision by the ref and some stupid choices by us. So we can't take it lightly. We have to come in and we take care of business. I think it will be a huge help for us to be at home and going into that match with some great momentum, tonking Napoli and beating Torino. Don't know if we kidnap Bellotti. Still remains to be seen. I guess we'll find out tomorrow at midnight. But we have all the tools we need to decimate this team, and I think we can.
Thank you for the kidnap Bellotti reference there. I'd forgotten about that already. Totally forgotten. Andrew, we've got maybe the biggest question as far as Liverpool's lineup is concerned is what exactly we're going to have in the midfield as we start the season. It's pretty safe to say that we know who our forwards are going to be. You've already said that we all are, expecting Alisson to be the goalkeeper. But in the midfield, there's questions there. What lineup would you want to see to start the year off? And I'm mostly setting this up so you could talk about your favorite player.
So, in the midfield, this is a tough one. There's a lot of players that went deep, or not a lot of players, but there's some players that went deep in the World Cup. The Ox is out. Jordan Henderson's probably not going to play. Lallana, no.
Just no.
No. I think we'll see Keita, Shaqiri, Wijnaldum. I guess that's on the front foot, but I think Keita can sit back a little bit. I would like to see Fabinho play, but from saying that he's having some trouble fitting into the system, fitting into the team, having a little bit of issue with his fitness. I don't know if he starts the very first game of the season. I'd like to see a defensive mid in, but again, it's against West Ham. I mean, their team is crap this year. There's some unknowns, as Alex said. We kind of have to worry about Arnautovic, and that's about it. I mean, there's Chicharito, maybe, I guess, but their team's crap. So I think starting with three players who want to go forward isn't that big of an issue in this game. I'd rather every player get fit and get ready to play and win games in the meantime.
The only other real major questions I feel like, and this might not be something that it necessarily comes up this weekend, Will, but moving forward, we have Nathaniel Klein back along with Trent Alexander-Arnold, and on the other side, Andy Robertson and Alberto Moreno, who still is a guy that Klopp seems to love and has also been a very, very funny dude on social media, which is endearing himself to people that maybe haven't always thought highly of him.
My captain. He's my captain.
So, Will, you got the defensive four, but especially those fullbacks here. I mean, what are you expecting this season? Do you think that we rely more on Nathaniel Klein again, or you think, Trent has that spot locked down? I mean, it could be stuff that, is addressed this weekend, but I mean, also just moving on beyond this, what do you want to see there?
Well, I think it's probably Trent's to lose, especially like after the Champions League performance, after he did so well. But I don't know that he starts this weekend because of his World Cup fitness and everything. Sure. I think we'll see Klein. Moreno's had a pretty good preseason, but Robertson's the number 1 or number 26, whatever. And he's going to start at left back until he gets injured or starts second. So I do feel good about the depth in those positions, way better than the depth in our center back positions. So I think we're good there, and I wouldn't be shocked if we saw all four of them play a lot over the course of the season. Injuries pending.
It seems like we're going to have a lot of rotation this year when it comes to that. Is it weird that the fullbacks might be the spot where we actually have the most depth going into the year?
It is weird. It's nice though. Like we can rotate and not have a huge drop off. Like, I mean, I wish we had that depth in every position, but I mean, well, we do. They just are all hurt all the time.
Right.
But it's going to be good. We're going to really be in a good spot come, December, whenever we're playing 5 games a week and we have to rotate a lot.
For sure. It's weird feeling more comfortable with that position looking back over the past several seasons, but I'll take it.
Especially left back. Left back has been just the bane of everything.
I know, seriously. All right. Alex, I'm going to turn it back over to you. It's time to make our first official scoreline predictions of the brand new season. I'm not ready for this. Are you ready for this?
I'm about to log off because I'm so not ready.
All right, Alex, take it away.
I mean, keeping with our progression from season to season, the natural conclusion would be that I have to predict 4-1 because it was 2-1, then 3-1, then 4-1. But so help me, if Allison does not get a clean sheet in his first match, we have to send him back, and I guess we have to play Grabara in goal because that would be just a catastrophe. It really wouldn't be a catastrophe. It would just be frustrating. But I am really happy that he doesn't have, this is kind of a side note, he doesn't have the price tag as the most expensive goalkeeper in the world anymore. That shifts so much attention off of him. That changes the narrative so much for us, and I'm so happy about that. So Gary Neville can shut the heck up. I'm going to go ahead and predict a 3-0 victory for us because I do think he'll get that clean sheet.
All right, Andrew, what are you thinking?
Wow, Alex took my scoreline. I'm going to switch it up. So, just like Alex was saying, I think we're going to go clean sheet again because West Ham is crap. And we're going to win 2-0. Shaqiri Salah goals.
Love it. Will, how about you?
I do wish that Allison would get a clean sheet, but we are Liverpool, and so I don't know that that's going to happen. But I'll predict 3-0 Salah, Mane, and Genie Wijnaldum getting a goal at home.
Love it. It's so unheard of, but I'll take it. Zach Osborne says that he's thinking a 3-1 scoreline.
That is so last season, Zach.
So last season. So over it. I'm going to go ahead and bring out my hot take of the podcast. I'm going to establish this is going to be my baseline 2018-19 scoreline prediction. It's going to echo that Napoli friendly 5-0. This is going to be our baseline for this weekend and for the season. It's just that's going to, if anything other than 5-0 on the year, any matchup, I'm going to consider it a failure.
I love it.
That's it. That's how high I'm setting the bar.
So we will be the best team of all time.
Ever have ever played.
Yep, 190 goals.
Yeah.
In the Premier League, we're going to crash out very quickly in all the cups.
Yeah.
Every single one.
Yeah, except for the Asia Cup.
Right. The one that matters.
The real trophy that only good teams win.
That's why we play the game.
Mm-hmm.
That's why we play the game.
None of this ICC bullshit.
Oh, man, what a great note to end on. Tweet at us, YNTA Podcast. Tell us what you think will happen this weekend. Along with that, hey, whatever you're listening to the podcast on, be it iTunes, Google Play, Spotify, even though Spotify has been giving me fits recently in terms of hosting, whatever, I'm over it. If you're just, on the Podbean app, that's our host. They got the app. It's a great search engine there. Visit our website, ynta.podbean.com. Wherever you're listening, though, leave us a review, give us a like, whatever it may be. It helps, other people that might be looking. Smash that like button. Just crush it. It gives people that might be looking for.
We're not paying for it if you do, but break it.
People might be looking for a podcast like ours and not realize we're out there. It helps to just spread awareness. Leave a review. I don't care. Whatever you're supposed to say. I'm really bad at self-promotion. This is the best you're going to get out of me. Probably for the entire season. This might be the only time I ever say anything like this at all. So that's it for me. I'm Joseph Craven. That's Alex, Andrew, and Will. Shout out to Zach. Get well soon. And Andrew, sign us out, buddy.
So long, farewell, goodbye, tonight. I didn't know what to say. I wasn't ready.
We do it every episode.
Do we?
Yeah.
Every single episode?
Every time you're on here, we tell you to sign us out. So, yeah. It's all right. It's a new season.
Yeah.
Don't worry about it. We'll get better next time.